This is Common Sense Radio. Straightforward and no excuses.
All right. Come on now.
This is the Steve Gruber Show.
Call me crazy.
Oh, yeah.
What I said was perfectly right and spot on accurate.
Boy's got a mouth like a cannon, always shooting it all.
Stop.
Got it.
Yeah, stop. I mean, you're way off script.
Got it in me. Gonna quit until it all comes out.
Hey, boy!
Been a long education.
Yeah, it's not cynical. It's common sense.
Pay attention to me when I'm talking to you.
I'm gonna rock the nation. Rock the nation.
Genuine, accountable, and raw. Here is Steve Gruber.
All right, and welcome to it. It is Tuesday here on the Steve Gruber Show. If you'd like to join the conversation, like some of the folks have from WFNT and elsewhere this morning, the phone number is 888-900-9966, 888-900-9966. Still coming up in this hour, we're going to speak with Mary Whiteford, a Republican candidate for the state representative 80th district seat in Allegan County. Of course, that is one of the seats that has been created by this Corsa Gammert affair when they left. Also ahead, David Kallman, senior legal counsel for the Great Lakes Justice Center. We'll have an update on the Planet Fitness case with Yvette Cormier against the transgender woman, which the man that was in the locker room there at Planet Fitness in Midland. And because she complained about it, they took away her membership. Plus, Alec of Go Green Landscapes will be here. Fall, the most effective time to get your lawn in shape for next year. So time to do the work, time to do the prep so you can have clean and green and wonderful lawn for next year. Hey, man, it's true. I just tell you the facts. 888-900-9966. 888-900-9966 is the number to call. Here's this story here. Here's the story that has me a little bit out of sorts here. The Defense Department facing mounting criticism for its handling of child abuse involving Afghan commanders, including revived claims that U.S. soldiers were told specifically to look the other way when Afghan troops, and specifically officers, were sexually exploiting underage boys. As first reported by Fox News, the Army is under scrutiny for moving to kick out Green Beret Sergeant First Class Charles Martland after he got in trouble for shoving an Afghan police commander accused of raping a boy. The Green Beret went to the defense of the boy who couldn't defend himself for their move to try to kick out Green Beret Sergeant First Class Charles Martland. This was followed by the New York Times reporting yesterday, that American soldiers were told to ignore sexual abuse, even in cases where Afghan allies were sexually assaulting and abusing boys on military bases. Not just Fox News anymore, boys and girls. No, it's not about that anymore. It's the New York Times. The White House saying yesterday that the U.S. is, quote, deeply concerned about the safety of Afghan boys. Nonsense. These stories went on long before it ever hit major news outlets. And, of course, the White House quickly referred the questions to the Department of Defense and the Pentagon. Pentagon spokesman Captain Jeff Davis, told reporters yesterday that the practices described in the Times were abhorrent and pushed back on the notion that military members were told not to report instances of child rape. We have never had a policy in place that directs any military member or any government personnel overseas to ignore human rights abuses, noting rape as a violation of Afghan law. But in a statement to Fox News, a spokesman for U.S. forces in Afghanistan said service members are not required to report child rape. There is no express, this is a quote now, there is no express requirement that U.S. military personnel in Afghanistan report it, said Colonel Brian Tribus. At the same time, Tribus said the military expects that any suspicions of sexual abuse are immediately reported up the chain of command. Accounts from the field and in court documents, though, raise questions about what instructions American troops were really given. Greg Buckley, the father of the late Lance Corporal Gregory Buckley Jr., recalled to the Times how his son told him they could hear boys screaming as they were sexually abused by Afghan police officers, but they were not allowed to do anything about it. My son said that his officers told him to look the other way because it's their culture. It's their culture to rape boys. His son and other Marines were killed in 2012 by a teenage boy, one of the alleged victims of a suspected Afghan child molester, Police Chief Sarwar Jan. In that case, the U.S. military has moved to reprimand American reservist Jason Bresler, who had warned fellow Marines days earlier about the Afghan police chief in an email. Bresler was accused of sending classified information over an unclassified network. Jan, though, reportedly has since moved up the ranks and has denied any relationship with the teenager who killed the Americans, calling the claims untrue. Well, I suppose if you believe in a whole pile of coincidence. In the end, in the case of Martland, while deployed to Kunduz province, Afghanistan, he and his team leader confronted a local police commander they had trained, armed, and paid with U.S. taxpayer dollars, your money and mine, after learning an Afghan boy was raped and his mother beaten. When the men laughed off the incident, they physically confronted him. You know how the left is always out there saying, not in my name? Well, the rape of young boys in Afghanistan, financed by U.S. taxpayer dollars, not in my name, is what I would say to that. Not in my name. A memorandum of reprimand from October 2011 obtained by Fox makes clear that Martland was criticized by the brass for his intervention after the rape. Now the Army is trying to discharge him. It was reported earlier this month that Congressman Duncan Hunter, a Republican from California and a member of the House Armed Services Committee, said he has learned that the Army leadership has since pushed a gag order prohibiting soldiers from speaking to anyone regarding this case. And Hunter is now pushing for newly minted Defense Secretary Ash Carter to review this matter immediately. The truth is that there are too many pedophiles to prosecute. We can't just lock up 70% of the Afghan security forces. That's not my quote. That's a U.S. military officer with multiple deployments to Afghanistan who asked to remain anonymous. Too many pedophiles to prosecute. It is their culture being propped up with your money, your tax dollars. And we're going to throw out a Green Beret for defending a boy against being raped by adult men with badges. We're better than that. 14 after on a Tuesday, it's the Steve Gruber.
Genuine Michigan common sense on display every day.
We get something we both know it, we don't talk too much about it.
Tuesday on the Steve Gruber Show, the hotline number 888-900-9966. We'll go to the lines. Matt on the line in Okemos. Matt, welcome to the program.
Yeah, good morning. I hope I do this right. I wrote a song for you, but I first wanted to say that with this great gift of liberty comes the burden of responsibility. And the Democrats want to take away that responsibility, and ultimately that takes away your liberty, and that's the end result of that. Obama came down to Washington. He was looking for a country to steal. He was in a bind. The liberal was out of his mind. He was ready to make some bad deals. The first bad deal he came upon was Bo Bergdahl. He brought him home, called him a hero, and released 5 from Gitmo. You might think he's crazy, but give a liberal president his due, because liberals don't care. They think their souls are better than you.
They do think they're better than you. Matt, nicely done. You need a guitar, but we'll get that for next time. Matt, thanks for checking in. 888-900-9966. It takes all kinds, right? And we appreciate it. Even a little ditty right here. The biggest scandal in Michigan in years, probably since David J. back in 2000, has been unfolding since early August with Todd Courser and Cindy Gamrett. Cindy Gamrett removed by her colleagues in the State House early in the morning on the 11th of September. Todd Courser resigned his position about an hour earlier. And now both are seeking re-election to the seats that they ended up losing because of the sexual affair, the cover-up, and the whole circus, I suppose. One of those running for the seat to replace Cindy Gamrett is Mary Whiteford. She's on the line with me this day. And Mary, welcome to the program.
Good morning, Greg. Glad to be here.
No, it's Steve, but that's okay. Hey, that's all right. You're forgiven. It's fine. How are you?
I'm really good, thank you. It's a beautiful morning.
What's it going to take to propel you to this seat? And first of all, why are you running? You've done it before. Why are you running now? And what do you hope to offer to the folks here in Allegan County?
You know, I'm a nurse, business owner, community volunteer. I fought for this job 2 years ago, traveled every street in the county, knocked on over 7,000 doors, and really have a passion to represent the people of my county. I want to be a strong, credible, conservative voice for the people of this district.
When you began to hear about this all unfolding, weeks ago, what did you make of it? What do you make of it now? And what do you make of Cindy Gamrett throwing her hat back in the ring after she's been removed by her colleagues in the State House to try to get this seat back that she's been expelled from?
As I've traveled around the county and I've worked really hard on several projects throughout this past year, that really does not represent what the people are and just my regular neighbors and the people of the district. It's a lot of circus. People are very saddened by everything that's going on, but I've told them that I will work hard to be their credible voice and to be a good conservative person, because it's really important. You can vote conservatively and still be a part of the Republican caucus and still have validity and strength for this district. And I've promised them that I will do that, and I've had an outpouring of support just everywhere, and a lot of people are relieved that I can bring my voice for them and excited, and I just feel so passionate about doing this, and I'm just working hard. I fought for this job a year ago. I'm fighting
and you're going to fight for it now.
Fighting for it again, and I'm going to fight for the people of my county.
And I appreciate that, but let me ask you this. Cindy Gamrett's attorney, Mike Nichols, out of East Lansing, said in an op-ed piece I just read this morning that he has released, that basically the takeaways are that there was a rush to judgment here, and that Cindy Gamrett was not treated fairly, and that they thought they had put together a deal for censure, and then she got removed, and feels that it was not appropriate because the voters didn't get a chance to speak. In your estimation, was Cindy Gamrett treated fairly in this process, and should she be running again?
I have no opinion about how everything was dealt with. What's the truth? Things switch back and forth. You just don't know. All I know is that the situation has occurred, and I am just passionate about rising up and just being in there and being part of this primary election to give the voters of Allegan County a choice.
How many people are in the race? 8?
There are 8 Republicans and 1 Democrat. And we have 6 weeks from today. So it's a very fast and furious campaign. I went to 3 city meetings last night. I went to 6 meetings in 2 days last week. There's 30 townships and towns in this district. It's there's a lot of small groups all over the county. I've had really good responses from the people on there. I have approximately 60 endorsements from elected leaders so far. I just added 2 more last night because they know even though I lost the election last year, I hung in there. I got involved. I'm on my mental health authority, working hard on human trafficking awareness across the county and joining up with fellow County Ottawa. I'm on the Children's Museum Board. On Thursday, I'm actually coordinating an event for veterans throughout the county. I'm on the Michigan Women's Commission, and there's one other commissioner in our county. So when we were talking about veterans and veterans issues, we said, why will we not take care of our own county? So it took about 6 months to coordinate this event, so way before I even knew the election was coming up. But it's a great event. It's free for every veteran in the county, free travel, free dinner. We have about 30 tables of representatives from the state who are going to come and be there for our veterans. It's so important to have things like that. And it brings up a sense of community as well, a place where we are all taking care of each other and helping out.
Mary Whiteford, there you have it, Republican candidate for the state representative 80th district, Malagan County, Cindy Gamret's former seat. Mary, best wishes on your campaign, and I appreciate the conversation.
Getting your day started with news from around the state and around the world. Common Sense Radio. This is the Steve Gruber Show.
All right, welcome back to it. It's 33 after the hour. Corresponding with Mike Nichols, Cindy Gamret's attorney, texting back and forth. Apparently, she's not going to make herself available for this program. She has made a couple of appearances over the last day, but so far she is reluctant to come here. I'm told that they're afraid of a gotcha moment. I won't kid you. I'll ask her tough questions if she comes here. I will. I will ask her tough questions. But I think the situation warrants tough questions. Is that a gotcha moment? I don't think so. I think that's asking for an honest conversation about the events that have transpired over the last many weeks and months. And like Harry Truman used to say, I don't give them hell. I just tell them the truth, and they think it's hell. How about that for a Democrat, for a quote, huh? I don't give them hell. I just tell them the truth, and they think it's hell. So anyhow, it's an open invitation to Cindy Gambret to join us here on the program. It's not a gotcha moment. It's an honest, tough conversation. It's called the open exchange of ideas. It's what we do here. And if you're not comfortable with that, well, I can respect that. If you're not comfortable with honest, direct questions, I can respect that. Then this is not the place where if you want softball questions and what your favorite ice cream questions are, there are other places that do that sort of thing. It's not me. Our next guest, David Kallman, Senior Legal Counsel for the Great Lakes Justice Center. David Kallman, the Senior Legal Counsel for the Great Lakes Justice Center, and an attorney from the Greater Lansing area. David, welcome back to the program.
Thanks, Steve. Good to be on.
We have been with you from time to time because of your case involving Yvette Cormier, because she saw a he, if you will, in the locker room of a Planet Fitness a few months ago, complained about it. The person identified apparently as a woman, although if you read this person's Facebook pages and talking about incendiary, offensive comments about women in general and what he would like to do to them, he that apparently thinks he's a she when it's convenient or whatever this mess is. Where are we in this whole circus, David?
Well, we have a court hearing on Friday. The Planet Fitness defendants have filed a motion to try to get the case dismissed before it goes to trial. It's a pretty typical strategy. And so we've responded, and we have a court hearing with Judge Beal up in Midland on Friday afternoon.
Where are we in the process? I mean, what has transpired to this point? Let's just bring the listeners up to date about the background, just a thumbnail of the background, and where this legal case is headed.
Sure. My client, Yvette Cormier, was at the Planet Fitness gym, had finished exercising, went in the locker room, and there was a man who called himself Carlotta Skladowski, but he was a biological man in all respects, was in the locker room, and of course she was shocked and went out to the front lobby to ask them to deal with the situation, and she was told that, well, because he self-identified as a woman, that he was allowed to use the women's locker room. He was not a member at that Planet Fitness. He was a guest. And that led to where we are today. Our client tried to contact the higher corporate authorities at Planet Fitness, and they all said that they have this no judgment policy, judgment-free zone, and that somehow Yvette was supposed to know that no judgment equals we let men shower with you. I mean, it's just ridiculous.
Yeah. So all right. So you wrote a pretty, I thought it was actually kind of humorous about what no judgment zone meant. I mean, no judgment. What? You're too old. You're too short. You're too fat. You're too ugly. You're too good looking. Whatever. Right? What does no judgment mean exactly? You can't say that the Lions are a lousy football team in the locker room because you're making a judgment. We make judgments 1,000 times an hour in our lives.
Absolutely.
About little things to big things. Judgment is what we do. And good judgment, that I don't think Planet Fitness is exercising here, seems to be falling to the wayside a little bit too often. Am I wrong?
No, you're absolutely right. They're using this mindless marketing slogan of a judgment-free zone to justify these invasions of privacy and just lack of common decency. I mean, I think it's pretty clear, though, Planet Fitness has no problem judging negatively Mrs. Cormier, because she's taking a stand for common sense and common decency. They don't have any problem judging her.
Yeah, they seem to judge her quite harshly, in fact. So harshly that they threw her out of the whole place. Now,
exactly.
Again, where are we going? Where do we go next?
Well, we filed this lawsuit alleging violations of our Elliott Larson Civil Rights Act, that there is a hostile environment created by this no judgment policy that they have, and it actually discriminates against women, and it discriminates against men also, because it can happen both ways. But our case is obviously involving a woman, and so we filed our suit. They've now filed this motion to try to get it thrown out before it ever gets to trial. We're confident that we've pled the necessary elements to have the case go ahead to trial. I guess we'll see what Judge Beal says on Friday.
All right, and we'll go from there. In the bigger picture, though, the bigger picture here is, where are we going overall? I mean, this is one case. This is a symptom, I think. I think your case that you're representing here is a symptom of a larger problem, which is anything goes. It's not a judgment-free zone. It's anarchy, for God's sake.
Right. And that's kind of the point here. It's part of the reason why we've asked for an injunction to stop Planet Fitness from enforcing this type of invasion of privacy of their members at their gyms, all in the name of political correctness. I mean, there has to be a line somewhere, Steve. There's got to be a line of decency somewhere. I mean, are people going to be allowed to walk around naked at Planet Fitnesses to exercise? Because they
apparently they do at Times Square right now. Well, and I make this comparison, the painted lady or whatever she's called in Times Square, or the cowboy, the singing cowboy in his underwear, which is kind of goofy and not particularly offensive, just kind of dumb. But,
sure.
If it's happening in New York City, how long until it happens right here? Yeah, and we don't want to tolerate, naked people walking around. Although and Lord, I'm going to wade into the weeds here, but here we go. I've been to a couple of these pride parades where it's pretty bizarre what's on display. It's not just pride in the fact that you're gay or whatever. There's all sorts of, frankly, deviant displays of all sorts of, I'm just going to say, lewd behavior. It is what it is.
Right. And that's why we're asking a jury to take a look at this and let businesses know and let the community know, do we have any community standards left? Or, as you say, is it just a free-for-all? And we believe our client acted appropriately and using common sense, and those types of standards should be upheld.
I agree. And I think that most people agree that, there is a crime called lewd and lascivious behavior. There's a reason for that.
Another side of this, too, is that, look, Mr. Sklodowska was not denied use of the gym facilities. There was a men's room. Again, he's biologically a male in all respects. He had,
and according to his Facebook pages and his postings, he thinks like a deviant male, by the way, when it comes to females, and the things that he wants to do to females. I mean, it's not even a close call in this particular case. It's repulsive. Anyhow, 20 seconds for the last word.
Right, and that's also part of our suit, is that how did Planet Fitness do any investigation or any checking here to protect their other members? They did nothing. They knew nothing about this gentleman when he went into the locker room. All he said was, "I'm sincere." Well, that's ridiculous. We have to have some kind of line in our society.
I agree. That's sincerely stupid to let him in. David Kallman, always a pleasure. We'll talk soon.
Have a good day.
Delivering Michigan common sense with a big dose of truth and honesty.
Shall rise as long as
it is a spectacular week weather-wise. I'm telling you. There's certainly nothing to take away from Michigan this time of the year. September and October, does it get much better than this? And it looks like the forecast, checking out the Weather Channel forecast going for the next several days, indicates that weather all across this state is going to be, well, frankly, fabulous. Sunshine, highs in the 70s, low 80s, lows in the 40s and 50s. I mean, this is perfect, sleeping weather and so forth, and I love it. It's also the perfect time to start thinking about fall cleanup. And a good friend of mine, Alec Kolenda from Go Green Landscapes in the Lansing area, joining me on the line this morning. Alec, welcome back to the program.
Hey, Steve. How are you doing today?
Well, I'm good. This is the time of year that you either love it or you hate it because, well, it's good for the kids, and I'll rake a big pile of leaves into a pile and the kids play in it for a bit. But that's all fine and well until the rain comes at the end of October and it turns into one big sopping, soggy mess it's just a horrible thing to deal with at that point.
Yeah, that's a chore.
Yeah, so that's where fall cleanup comes in. So let me ask you about that. Let's just real quickly. You're a Michigan State University graduate in turf management. You're a turf grass expert, I would say. You're a guy who knows this sort of thing. Why is it important to clean your lawn in the fall? Fall cleanup, I know it's popular to make your lawn look good, but there's other reasons, is there not?
Well, if you get too many leaves on it, you'll block out the sun in the spring, and your grass will suffer. You can chop up leaves in your yard. We don't necessarily have to haul them away. If you chop them up really fine and you don't mind seeing some chopped up leaves in your yard, it actually gives you some free fertilizer to go back into the yard. Some of our customers,
which is good.
That works for them. Others, we can haul it away if they don't have enough lawn to chop everything up.
Now I have I think it's called a canker on a couple of my maple trees, and I learned this, and I don't have it right in front of me, the name of this disease. Basically, the leaves get like brown spots on them, like age spots, right? And I think it might have actually been you that told me it's not really a big concern to the tree. It's not going to hurt the tree overall, but it makes it kind of look kind of shabby. And one of the best ways to make sure that tree doesn't continue to self-infect, if you will, is to clean up all the leaves that are on the ground around that tree at the end of the year, because a lot of that contamination, if you will, comes from the leaves that fall on the ground right around that specific tree. So there's another reason. It's very common, this thing you find on maple trees and so forth, and one of the ways to get rid of that, in my understanding, is to clean up.
Yeah, that I'm not so sure about. I think what we were talking about is lichens on the bark.
Yeah, that as well, yeah.
Yeah, lichens are a good sign of biologic activity on the tree. And that'd be like kind of a green, flaky stuff on the bark, green or gray. You see that on a ton of maples. That's not necessarily a bad sign. A canker, that can be like a gall or some sort of a disease, depending on what it looks like. That can be an issue. We might want to check that out if your trees have something like that.
Right, and I was, maybe it was the other guy I talked to. Anyhow, the best way to take care of that is a fall cleanup to make sure the stuff isn't there. Now, the other thing that I found interesting, Alec, is that you say that right now is the best time to work on your lawn and to prep your lawn so you have a fabulous yard come April or May, spring of next year. Now, why is that?
Well, right now it's we still have some temperatures to where the lawn can grow, and being late in the year, you don't have the disease pressure and the weed pressure, so it allows new seedlings to come in really nice. And you don't have the risk of a really hot day, which will fry your yard. So if
right, and I guess you have better moisture.
We need to overseed or something like that. Fall is the best time for that.
Well, I guess that makes sense. Now, let me ask you this. Obviously, at Go Green Landscapes, it's not just the lawn, but it's obviously putting in ornamental bushes or trees or whatever, both deciduous and evergreens and so forth. And here's a question that I've always wondered about. Is it best to do it in the spring, in the fall, in the summer? Well, when do you put in trees for their best chance of flourishing?
Well, there's a couple lines of thinking with that, and the answer would be either spring or fall. Summer would be the worst time, and we've had good success doing it in the spring and doing it in the fall. I would say there's not too terrible much difference between the two, and that goes back to the same principles as the lawn. Cooler temperatures means less chance of the plants dying from high heat, low water. In the fall, the trees start to go dormant, so when you move them, they hardly even know they've left the ground. That's a plus. In the spring, they just get started again and keep growing.
And they keep rocking along. Okay, so here's the thing.
Yeah.
I've noticed, a few trees. We're with Alec Kolenda from Go Green Landscapes right in the Lansing area. I have noticed down here a few trees are starting to change already. A little surprised because it hasn't been that cool yet, but I guess we're getting into the 40s a little bit overnight. But not long before fall colors will be making their way across the region. So it is time to think about, getting the fall cleanup. I'm going to guess you're really busy in the fall.
Oh yeah, we started booking clients already for fall cleanups. So we stay plenty busy right up through the first snowfall.
Yeah, there you go. So all those folks that are out there that and the lawn guys that are out there and the cleanup, you better do it now, guys, because it's going to get busy really quick. Alec, always a pleasure, my friend. I know you've got work to do because the weather's going to be absolutely picture perfect for the next week or 10 days. So make the most of it, my friend.
Yeah, I will. You can't ask for anything better than this.
There you have it. Alec, great
right,
conversation as always. If you want to find out more about Alec, you can go to Go Green Landscapes on Facebook. He can hook you if you're somewhere in this area. Anywhere else, though, either you're going to need some equipment, a lot of young children with rakes in their hands, which I think is one of the great reasons to have kids, yard work, because I don't care for it, and I always found kids to be better at it. Or have your friends over, or hire a professional. But it is getting to be that time of the year. Peak colors in the UP happen between the 1st and 15th of October. So peak fall colors are on their way already. Peak fall colors for the southern part of the Lower Peninsula happen at the end of October. It's all on the way. 52 after the hour on a Tuesday. We'll be right back.